We've made it to the northern coast of Poland. We were at the most southern tip on the Slovenia border merely a week and a half ago, and we've predominantly trained it up from the south here up to the north, and we're in this freezing cold town called Sopot, which is a little outskirt part of Gdansk. And we've taken a walk up pretty much the only pier in this town, which thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people walk up and get to this point every day. And just behind us in the distance, you can probably see this building just here is the Sheraton, where we pulled up last night and rested, which is beautiful, another day spa, and really immersed in using the facilities. A heated pool with mineral water, the spa, sauna, just to thaw out. I've got about another minute and a half before my fingers snap freeze from just the cold air temperature, and this is only the middle of autumn. We haven't even hit the full extent of winter, so I can't even begin to imagine it. The further north you get in the cooler times of the year, the colder it gets. However, it is beautiful, it is picturesque. I am very happy to be finally be by the coast and open water and ocean. It's usually one of my favourite places to be. Going to hit the sand for a bit and just spend probably about a good hour just walking slowly along the water's edge. And you probably know from a number of my previous recordings and blogs that you'll see I've spent many a time sharing, discussing, contemplating by the water's edge. And I love sitting along that borderline in order to feel the land as well as feel the openness of the waters, and be right on the edge of both of that and find myself placed there. And it's a great place for inner reflection and contemplation and just stillness, gathering some very limited resources and information available from my family, and some of the limited history specifically related to my genealogy. And that's still a continuous journey, because from what I've discovered, that any documentation, if at all it still exists, is now located or potentially located in Germany. But it's been a very interesting process of discovery and coming to places of registry, for instance the archives in Warsaw, contacting little village archives to where we know family was born, to even contacting churches, because often back 2 generations ago it was the churches that maintained all the information and history and documentation from families. And even speaking to the churches that we know of in the townships and villages related to our family, have all pretty much said the same thing, that during the Second World War and just before the end of the Second World War, the Germans took all archived documents related to the Poles and trained them out back towards Germany. Now, there's 2 stories, there's 2 minds of thought whether these archives still do exist today, if at all, and the other one, whereas they could have been destroyed on the way back to Germany before the very end of the war and may not exist at all. So the process of discovery, the inquiry, the questioning, the process of finding more family history continues on. Noticing some of the conditioning and releasing of the conditioning that I had on a subconscious level, and bringing that to my awareness. And the other thing as well is, and traveling with my father and being observant of his conditioning based on what he was subject to and may still be impeding upon his life. Because we've, must say, look, I don't know if those of you who have actually travelled with family and for longer stints of time, that often you need your space, but often, you know, a difference in beliefs and values and just ways of operation on a day-to-day basis can be incongruent, a little bit conflicting, and it's been a test on this trip to really sit with it and surrender and not really impede each other's beliefs upon one another, and to be able to find a middle ground and harmony in this journey, because we've each been realizing a fair bit has been triggered by being here in this country, and Bodhi's been a witness towards my emotion and the sorrow and hardship that I've witnessed that the Polish people went through, and it really got to me. It was really impacting me, and I had a number of big emotional releases, because especially heading to Auschwitz and going through that experience and the atrocities that happened there was massive. But it's also humbled me at the same time tremendously, for the reason being knowing the gift that I have now of freedom with my home residing in Australia, now having the freedom to be able to travel freely as I do, but come back to a place of very little suppression, very little external influence, very little conflict, i.e. wars inflicted upon the country. And it's a reminder not to take that for granted. So it's been a very beautiful blessing, this whole trip, and very humbling indeed.